The Judicial Service Commission announced today that it will join its parent body, the Nigerian Labour Congress, in its industrial action over the removal of subsidy. We should recall that the Nigerian Labour Congress was absent as the federal government trade union center agrees on wage increase to cushion effect of subsidy removal. Nigerian Labour Congress was absent yesterday at the reconvened meeting between the federal government and representatives of Organized Labour Center at the State House, Abuja. The first meeting, held last week to discuss the contentious issues of withdrawal of subsidy of fuel by the federal government, was attended by representatives of both the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress (TUC). But at the reconvened meeting yesterday, representatives of Nigerian Labour Congress did not turn up, just as TUC presented its demands to government, with minimum wage review topping the list. President of Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajero, while speaking in an interview on a Rise news channel yesterday, accused the federal government of foul play, insincerity, and insensitivity on the subsidy matter. Nigerian Labour Congress insisted that the federal government lied in its declaration that there was no appropriation for subsidy beyond May 2023. The Nigerian Labour Congress also stated that all its branches and affiliates across the country were united in the struggle to reverse the unilateral increase in pump price of petrol. However, following the directive by the National Union of Electricity Employees (NUE) to its members to withdraw their services nationwide from Wednesday and join the planned strike called by Nigerian Labour Congress, some industry analysts warned workers against downing tools, saying it posed national security risks. They stressed that the law clearly stated that it was an offense for anyone or group to prevent or obstruct the transmission of electricity through any electricity or main transmission line. Similarly, Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSUN, in a letter dated June 3, 2023, started mobilizing all its chapters and members for the nationwide action and withdrawal of service from Wednesday. This followed a decision of the neck of the Nigerian Labour Congress at her meeting on June 2, 2023, over the increase in the pump price of PMS by the federal government. The letter, signed by JUSUN General Secretary M.J. Akwashiki, read, "All zonal presidents are to coordinate their zones by ensuring that branch and chapter chairmen mobilize their members for total compliance." The letter added, weighing in on the subsidy matter, People's Democratic Party (PDP) yesterday called on the federal government to engage the organized labor to find solutions to the raging dispute. Lagos State Governor Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu and the former leader of the Senate, Mohammed Ali Ndume, yesterday appealed to the national leadership of NLC not to embark on its proposed nationwide strike, saying Tinubu means well for the country. But founder of Stanbic IBTC Bank PLC and ANAP Foundation, Atedo Peterside, yesterday called on Tinubu and others in the present government who had in 2012 opposed the removal of fuel subsidy by the administration of then-President Goodluck Jonathan to tender an unreserved apology to the former president as well as Nigerians. In a tweet on his handle, Atedo pointed out that following the decision of Tinubu to end fuel subsidy regime, the president and some members of his party who vehemently protested against subsidy removal by Jonathan ought to apologize to Jonathan, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Peter Obi, and other members of the 2012 economic team. Peter Side wrote, "The petrol subsidy removal is complicated by the fact some liars who held sway in 2012 are now singing a different tune in 2023. They should apologize to at Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, at Peter Obi, and N.O. Iweala, that is Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and others in the 2012 economic team, and beg Nigerians for forgiveness so we can move forward." NNPC had last week adjusted the pump price of petrol by nearly 200% from 195 naira per litre to between 488 naira and 557 naira nationwide. The development followed the announcement by Tinubu in his inaugural speech on Monday that fuel subsidy was gone. Tinubu pronounced to rechannel the expected savings to education, health, and other sectors. But the development did not go down well with Nigerian Labour Congress, which has announced plan to commence a nationwide strike from Wednesday. Speaking with newsmen after the meeting between the TUC leaders and federal government's representative held at the conference room of the Chief of Staff's office, both sides disclosed that negotiations would continue from tomorrow when the federal government will be taking Labour's demand to President Bola Tinubu. The meeting lasted about 2.5 hours. The government was expected to come with answers to Labour's demand. Apart from the demand for a review of the minimum wage, TUC demanded a tax break for Nigerian workers. It said it would leave the remaining items on the list undisclosed until the government representatives must have relayed the list to the president and come back with positions. Spokesman of the government side, Mr. Dele Aleke, expressed satisfaction with the proceedings. Aleke hinted that the demands by TUC were not impracticable, but he noted that the president must be allowed time to consider them. According to Aleke, government would look into the issue of minimum wage, since the removal of subsidy has the immediate consequence of reducing the purchasing power of the people. He added that government will be putting a tripartite committee together to study all dynamics relating to the subsidy. Alake said, "Well, as you all know, we had this reconvened meeting today, as we promised you a few days ago when we had the initial meeting with the labor movement. We said we were going to reconvene today to keep the engagement on, in order to diffuse the tension in the land as a result of the withdrawal of subsidy, which is a reality. Now we are very happy to announce to Nigerians that this engagement has been very productive. The TUC that attended today's meeting presented a list of demands, and those demands we have studied and we are going to present to Mr. President for his consideration. But those demands, we can announce to Nigerians that a lot of the items on the list are not impracticable. What we need to do is to study the numbers very well. Then we have have asked the TUC to also give us a leeway to consult very exhaustively and reconvene on Tuesday to actually look at the numbers, viability, practicability of all the items that have been presented to us. Now, most important and top priority on the list, which the government is also looking at very seriously and the president has announced before, is the issue of minimum wage, which the labor movement has demanded is the consequential impact of this removal of subsidy. So government is to look at that, and Mr. President is most likely going to constitute a tripartite committee that is a committee of the federal government, including the states, and then the organized labor and private sector. Now, this is a tripartite arrangement. It will be a committee that will study all the dynamics of a wage increase in percentages, the numbers and the categories that will be affected. So by Tuesday, when we come back to reconvene to meet with the TUC again, we should have very concrete items to present to the world. But the most important thing for today is that we are making appreciable progress with Labour. On whether the team was also negotiating with Nigerian Labour Congress, Aleke said, no, we are not, but we are making efforts to reach the Nigerian Labour Congress. We all agree that we are going to meet here, but again, in this game, there are dynamics.